You send 200 LinkedIn invites this month and HubSpot has no idea. Zero, absolutely zero. Not a single activity logged, so your reps try to follow up and it's pretty hard for them. They try to recontact people already in their pipeline, but the inbox on Sales Navigator and LinkedIn is totally broken. You cannot filter, you cannot follow up easily, you have no template, no snippet. It's too hard for them. And in the end, the deals fall through the crack. So in this video, I'm going to show you the 7 tips to fix exactly that. Hi, my name is Bastien. I'm the co-founder of Hublead. So Hublead is a Chrome extension that syncs your LinkedIn activity back to HubSpot automatically. So everything you do on LinkedIn, invitation, messages, replies, get logged inside HubSpot in real time, LinkedIn and LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So in this video, I'm going to show you and walk you through the 7 practical tips. So let's dive in. So the first tip is about the gap between Sales Navigator and HubSpot. So if you prospect on Sales Navigator, but run your outbound in HubSpot, you waste a lot of time manually copying contacts. You can do it one by one with Hublead, or you can do it 25 by 25. And that's easier for you to automate. So you can export your leads from Sales Navigator in batches of 25 and also see who is already inside your HubSpot. So you can filter out them and just import the one you're really interested in. Then what is wonderful is that you can find this lead easily inside your HubSpot thanks to the original source done too. And then you use HubSpot workflow to automatically enroll them into a sequence that will require the sales enterprise in HubSpot, or you can just go to the list, select the 25 contacts and add them to a specific sequence from the HubSpot segment list. So once that workflow is active, every new import automatically goes into the right sequence. And if you do it from the segment list, it will require a couple of more clicks, but it's way easier than the other way. So you go from Sales Navigator to a running email sequence with no manual work or really a little. And this alone saves a lot of time for your team every single week. So the second tip is about visibility. So most teams have no idea where their LinkedIn leads are. Did they accept the invite? Did they reply? Did you at least send a LinkedIn message? So you end up checking LinkedIn manually every day to find out. So here you can see a Kanban board inside HubSpot. The columns are invitation sent, invitation accepted, message sent, and message replied. So you can create a LinkedIn status property in HubSpot and update that with Hublead LinkedIn data. Then you build a workflow that updates it automatically based on Hublead events. So every time you send a LinkedIn invitation or a message on LinkedIn or LinkedIn Sales Navigator, Hublead syncs that back to HubSpot and the contact moves to the right column. So your entire LinkedIn pipeline is now visible inside HubSpot and you don't need to create deals to get this kind of friendly view. So your manager can see it, your team can see it, and everyone is aligned. So the third tip is about speed. So studies show reps book twice more meetings when they follow up within the first hour, but most reps check LinkedIn once or twice a day and they miss the window. So here you can see how to fix that with a HubSpot workflow. So the trigger is simple. Hublead creates a last LinkedIn invitation accepted date as a contact property. And once it's known, you can trigger a workflow based on that because Hublead will sync that data back into your HubSpot and the workflow fires instantly. So you add an action like enroll the contact in a sequence and your follow-up is already underway. So you never miss a warm lead again. So the first tip is similar, but instead of a sequence, you create a task. And by the way, you can do plenty of other things like send a Slack message if you want. So sometimes you don't want to send an automated email. You want your rep to send a personal LinkedIn message instead. So this tip automates the reminder. Here you can see the same trigger, last LinkedIn invitation accepted is known. So when the invite is accepted, the workflow creates a HubSpot task automatically. The task is assigned to the contact owner and the title can be LinkedIn accepted, send first message. And the due date is today. So the rep gets a clear task at the right moment without any manual work. You can notice also that you can do that on the last LinkedIn message reply date. The fifth tip is about attribution. So most teams do LinkedIn outbound every day, but when the deal closes, no one knows if LinkedIn played a great role in that. So you can really justify the impact of LinkedIn. You know that LinkedIn is great to find people, but you don't know how far it's great to send invitation and so on. So we fix that. So first, you can create a property on the contact called primary source, for example. And when Hublead detects a LinkedIn action, like an invitation sent, accepted, or reply, a workflow checks that property. If it's empty, it sets it to LinkedIn. If it's already filled, it does nothing because it's not the primary source anymore. So it's a first touch attribution. It never gets overwritten. And now the contact is tagged. This person came from LinkedIn. So when a deal gets created from that contact, manually or automatically, a second workflow runs. It looks at the primary social source on the contact, and if it's LinkedIn, it sets LinkedIn source to true on the deal. So at the end of the month, you can filter all deals that are coming from LinkedIn, and you see exactly how much pipeline and revenue came from LinkedIn. So now you can prove it with real data, not just gut feeling. So the sixth tip is about data quality. So by default, LinkedIn invitations don't count as activities in HubSpot. So your contact shows as unworked, for example, even if you already sent them an invite, and the last activity date doesn't move either. So your team recontacts people who are already in your pipeline, or they try to find people they didn't contact, and in fact, they contacted them. So your lead prioritization is kind of broken. So here you can see a single workflow that fixes both issues at the same time. The trigger last LinkedIn invitation accepted is known, and you can do it with the sent also. And the workflow creates a note on your contact automatically, and that note counts as an activity, so HubSpot marks the contact as worked. And last activity date gets also updated. So your reporting is now accurate, your list also. Your team stops recontacting warm leads and they prioritize correctly based on real LinkedIn interactions. So the seventh tip is about prioritization. So most lead scoring setups in HubSpot only look at inbound signals like website visit, emails, and opens. But if your reps are working on LinkedIn, you're missing the big part of the picture. So here you can see how to add LinkedIn signals to your HubSpot score, and you add positive criteria based on Hublead data, like LinkedIn connection accepted plus 10 points, LinkedIn message reply plus 20 points, for example. So someone who accepted your invite made a decision to connect with you. That's a much stronger signal than an email open. So your reps can now see who's actually engaging on both channels, and they prioritize based on real data, not gut feeling anymore. So all these playbooks are free on hublead.io. Links are in the description. So I hope this tutorial helped you to better understand how to boost your HubSpot outbound with LinkedIn and save many time for you and your team. If you have any question, feel free to ask in the comments. And if you want to try Hublead, the link is in the description and you get a free trial. And until next time, see you to the next video.